and welcome back to Gilly Sports. Big day today as we are I am predicting the for the 26-27 season. I have got it written down here this time, so don't. So it may. So I won't need to take a little bit of time to do that. Right, and we're going to get straight in. We're going to start with relegation. The place obviously where no one wants to be in the Premier League. It's somewhere it's a horrible place, isn't it? Really, any team that's been in it, Newcastle, West Ham, Villa, some of the big clubs that have been in it, and they can tell you it's not a nice place to be, and somewhere you certainly do not want to be. And for these three teams, I think they are going to have to experience that this season. We're going to go. We'll start at rock bottom of the league. The team, well, I don't think the team I think will finish rock bottom of the league is a team that's now they've had a great season the last couple of seasons. This team they won the Conference League last year and the FA Cup the year before, and of course the Community Shield. Don't we forget? But I just don't think they've appointed some man called Pierre Saga. No one's heard of him. They've not made many signings or sold anyone. I just think with an inexperienced manager, a lack of quality, I don't think there's much quality within that squad anymore. With all the big players have now left, I do generally think that is going to be Crystal Palace relegated to bottom of the league. I think it's going to be a horrible season for them. They've been with Europa League football, it's going to be a lot to juggle. An inexperienced manager who has no idea what he's doing. It's just I can't see anything different for Palace. However, one thing they will be quite glad to know, I personally think, that they'll be dragging down a former manager with them. I think Forest will also be going down with them. They'll be dragging down Glasner, who left them with the experience, with the intention of not managing another club, and then decided to go manage Forest. He deserves to go down, personally, I think, after that. Forest, what can we say? As I say, Morgan Gibbs-White staying will be a big thing for them, but with a few weeks to go, Morgan Gibbs-White currently looking like he's going to leave. If he does leave, I think that's going to affect Forest terribly, and I think that will be then relegated. So I don't see any way of them surviving this year. They've had a good few years, but after flirting with it the last few years, I think there's a lot going on at that club that needs to be sorted out. And I don't think they're ready enough to survive another season in the Premier League. The third team going down there. Now, interestingly, I every year I like to do my own ones. Obviously, it's the first year I'm posting it, but I had I got 2 out of the 3 right last year. Relegation. I said Burnley and West Ham to go down, but the third team I said didn't go down. That team is Brentford. But I do think this year that they are actually going to finally get relegated. I think there's a lot of people saying that they've been fighting for Europe last year. Keith Andrews, great manager, but I think I don't. There's another team. I just don't see enough quality in them anymore, and they've got more and more players leaving as they go on. They've not made any big signings that can help them push for Europe. I still don't see any way of them staying up. I could be horribly, horribly wrong, but at the moment, to me, of the teams and the quality of some of the teams in the Premier League, I think they are down there as one of the worst. But I could be horribly wrong. I could be easily proved very wrong. Yeah. And already you can see a big prediction for everyone is that I've predicted that none of that every promoted team will stay up. But now it's of course trying to work out me to show you where I where I have them in the league. The closest team to relegation, I do think there's going to be one of them finishing 17th. A team who they finished 6th last year in the Championship, came up. I think they had a bit of a rough time in the playoffs. They beat Millwall, who were by far one of the favourites to go up. even automatically. Then they managed to beat Middlesbrough in the final after a lot of changes of the whole Spygate thing. But I think I think Hull deserve to, and I think they will survive the Premier League for at least this season. And I think there's no reason for that not to be a fact, really. I think Hull will stay up, not comfortably. I think they'll be fairly. They won't be far off Brentford, Forest, and Palace, but I do think they'll survive. I like Jukanovic. I think he's a great manager. He's someone that he came in last year. He wasn't really well known, but somehow completely proven all his doubters wrong, and made Hull look good. And the Hull fans love him. As I say, he was a great manager for Hull last season. Also, Ollie McBurney as a player is someone that I think you need to look out for this year. They've just made, I can't remember who it is, but they've just signed someone pretty big. They've also signed Jack Butland to put in goal, former Stoke goalkeeper, and I think that's going to be a massive signing for them. Having Jack Butland in goal, formerly a future England star, and all round one of the most underrated Premier League English goalkeepers ever. I think this is good. This squad has the potential to have a really good year, a much better year than the majority of people who think they'll be going down. I think they have a good year to prove themselves wrong. I'm not saying they'll go obviously I'm not saying they'll go the full Sunderland, but there is a little bit of potential in there. Now 16th, I think, is a fairly easy call. Some teams have had them relegated. Some people have had them around it. It's been a horrible, horrible summer for them. Lost the manager, lost pretty much their entire squad. There's been absolutely raided. They've appointed some man that once again, so much like Palace, they've appointed an unknown that no one's heard of. No experience whatsoever in the Premier League, or with players, or with the quality of players in the Premier League. And that of course, it's Newcastle. Just as I say, Jasil came in, was appointed a few weeks ago. The big prediction for me for this season for Newcastle is that Jasil will be gone by about January. I don't think he's going to last the season. It'll be. I'm not. It probably could be something like Allardyce to the end of the season. Hang on. It probably could be like someone like Allardyce to the end of the season, or just someone like even possibly Warnock or Hodgson, just someone to steer the ship until the end of the season. It's going to be a horrible year for them, but I do think they will just about stay up by the skin of their teeth. But yeah, I am going to predict the season that every Newcastle fan thinks is coming up for them. Now we get up to a bit of a more positive side. Teams who stayed up, so we'll start 15 to 12th. So the teams who start mid-table teams who stay up quite comfortably stay up, but not enough to push them for Europe. 15th, we're going to go with another promoted team. I think they will stay up. They've got a really good squad. It's Ipswich. I'm going with Ipswich just to finish 15th this year. I think the appointment of Gary O'Neill is a great idea. I think I really like him as a manager. I think since he got his first job at Bournemouth a few years ago, it's been pretty good here. He hasn't really had a bad season. He's managed Bournemouth and Wolves so far, and both of those he's been decently successful. Guided them both to mid-table finishes. I think Gary O'Neill is a great choice. I think Ipswich to stay up very comfortably. A good squad, good team. There's no reason why they won't stay up comfortably. 14th. Now, I don't really know what to say about this team. This is a team that did nearly push for Europe last year, but I can't think who I think it's mainly the manager that's keeping them as low as they are. I think if they were to appoint a different manager, appoint someone who understands it more, they could get back to the heights of where they were a few years ago. They were pushing for Europe a couple of years ago. No, sorry, about 5 years ago they were pushing for Europe. A couple of years ago they were in relegation battle. So this manager, that team is Everton. I'm going to just say that now. That the team is Everton. I think that. Oh, hang on, move this way. I think they'll stay up. I think though it's going to be an okay season for them. It's a lot better than it has been, but I don't think there's any real. It's going to be much real fight. I don't think David Moyes is a good enough manager to get them into Europe anymore. I don't think the squad. I mean, you got Beto and Thierry Barry, but it's not a good enough squad, is it? Really, there's no real drive, is there? It's never been a club that never much drive to win things. They sort of just score goals and hope that it all goes well for them. But yeah, Everton to stay up fairly comfortably. Bournemouth. Now, I put in Bournemouth 13th, but once again, sorry, but I don't think it's going to be as bad a season as it sounds. They obviously qualified for the Europa League last year alongside Sunderland, which I think is going to be the reason as to why they don't have as good a season as they do in the Premier League, because they're obviously going to be so tired. I think they'll be mainly focusing on the Europa League. I personally think that's what Marco Rose is going to do. But I do think Bournemouth can at least get to the final of the Europa League. As I say, that's why they'll struggle in the league. But yeah, so this will be a good season for Bournemouth. Maybe not in the league, but it will be a good season for them. Bournemouth fans, you could have a European trophy coming for you. Just wait. It's so many English teams have had it happen to them. We've had Fulham, Middlesbrough, Villa won it last year. Tottenham, my beautiful team, won it a couple of years ago. It's coming for you. I'm telling you now, a European trophy is coming your way. Or at least a European final. Good luck this season, Bournemouth. I genuinely think it's going to be a good season. So, all the best to you lot at Bournemouth. And we're going to go the final team, I think, the mid-table team. Hang on, I've just realised I've done mid-12 to 13th. Just hang on, I'll be back in one second to fix that. Right. I'll fix that now. So 8th to 12th. So these are the teams that aren't pushing for Europe. So, but that bridge between mid-table, pretty much, hanging around that just below Europe, just missing out to just getting over the top mid-table. 12th place, I've got Brighton. Also, they have Conference League football this year, and much like Bournemouth, I think they have a very good chance of winning it. I think with the rise of English football in European competitions in the last couple of years, Brighton are another team that could very, very easily go and win the Europa League, go and win the Conference League, much like their Eagle rivals did last year. Yeah, Brighton to win Conference League this year. However, much like Bournemouth, that is going to have to affect them in the league. Sadly, they won't do as well in the league, but a European trophy will get them into Europe, so it won't matter anyway. Now, 11th, this is where it starts to get to that sector where teams who aren't in Europe and what only drive is to get to Europe, but they're just about missing out. And the first team I've got there is Fulham. A very good team in recent years, but obviously the loss of Harry Wilson and Marco Silva is going to have to affect them terribly. But I do quite like the appointment of Arbeloa. I think him coming in could be he could be a really good manager, and maybe not this season, but in a few years' time they will be pushing for Europe. They've got European pushes coming up under him. The foundations that Marco Silva has built is easily going to be good enough for Fulham to go and get Europe. The players they have, obviously the loss of Jimenez is going to be and Harry Wilson is going to be tough, but you could say they're dead wood. I think with them gone now, that gives you space to bring in better players who may have played for teams who previously qualified for Europe. Fulham, much like the next few teams, the foundations are there for Fulham to qualify for Europe in the next few years. They've got the manager, the players, the money. It's going to be a good few years for Fulham. Now, 10th, my final promoted team, it's got to be Coventry. I mean, I've been really impressed with how they've done, how they did. Obviously, they were amazing last year in the Championship, absolutely tore it up to pieces. Frank Lampard at charge, who has previously stated in an interview, they're not here to go up and down, to be a yo-yo team. They're here to be a good team. They're here to stay. And quite frankly, I love that as a drive. I think very easily Coventry can stay up. Coventry can and will stay up. Finish 10th. This could be a very good season for Coventry, and I think it's the time we finally see Coventry stay in the Premier League, where, quite frankly, it feels like they've deserved to be for such a long time now. Here's to a good season for Coventry, a good season for Lampard, and a good squad. Yeah. Now, 9th place is a team who did qualify for Europe, promoted only a few years ago. That is Sunderland. I mean, they have the exact same. I'm sitting them here, the exact same reason as I said for Bournemouth and Brighton. They're fighting in Europe, so they're not going to have much time to focus on the league. Not so badly that they're going to fall down the league terribly, but I do think they're going to have quite a lot of focus on Europe this year. And I think there's a potential of us having a Bournemouth-Sunderland final within the Europa League final, which could be massive. If we had a Bournemouth-Sunderland final, that would be incredible for English football. And would just only shoot up the money. I mean, the money going into the league at the moment, we are without a doubt the best league in the world at the moment. So if Sunderland can get that Europa League final, Sunderland v Bournemouth final would be amazing. It guarantees us a Europa League team, a Europa League winner, and another at least one more Champions League team next season. Yeah, I do think that can happen. I think Sunderland to finish 9th, 8th recently came up, and honestly, the squad they're building at the moment has been quite good. It's Leeds. I'm going with Leeds to finish 8th. This will surprise a few people, but I mean, you look at that squad. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, the signing of Harry Wilson has been an incredible one. They've just signed James Trafford. They've made some incredible signings this year. They've got a good manager, a good team. Why not? Why not put Leeds down for a European push? They clearly want to. And they looked like they could have done when they first came up, but I think there was just a couple of Rafinha. If Rafinha had stayed on a couple of years ago, look at where he is now. They would 100% be where I'm saying they're going to be this year. They would be fighting for Champions League, and they would be without a doubt one of the very best teams in England, which they previously have been. They're one of the most successful teams in the country in the history of English football, and I think it's time we start seeing a return of that. I think Leeds are going to be back soon, and this is the time where Leeds start to show people their roots, and they're not the bully boys that they have been in recent years. 7th, another team who have pretty much been nailed on a European team the last few seasons, Aston Villa. They've been qualifying for Europe a lot. They've qualified for Europe pretty much every season the last few years. They won the Europa League last year, so they'll be so they've got Champions League football this year. And I think a 7th place finish, pretty much where they will end up. They've just lost Morgan Rogers, which is going to be a big dagger to them. But with Champions League football, obviously not a lot more pressure, a lot more tired players. They've got good enough backups, though. I think seventh is pretty much where Villa should end up. I don't see any. There's no reason as to why Villa won't end up there. A fairly comfortable finish for them, and something I'd say personally for Villa fans, they can be happy with. But sixth place for this next team isn't a particularly hard team. As you can see, the 6 teams you've got left are the top 6 in the country. Top 6, well, the big 6. But I think each of the big 6 this year has made some good signings. But the worst team out of all of them, the team that has lost, seems to have lost quite more players than... And they've gained Elliot Anderson this year, but the loss of Pep Guardiola, the loss of... I think it's going to condemn City to the Europa League. I just don't see much in them this year. They've lost Bernardo Silva, they've lost Guardiola, they've lost John Stones. So many players have just walked out on them. Rodri is now apparently going to Barcelona. They've lost so many of their big players, and they've basically splashed the cash on one player and splashed it all on one player, that being Elliot Anderson. They've not signed many players other than him. I just think the squad versus what they haven't made much profit. They've got profit, but they've not brought in. They've not made the changes they need to make. If you're losing big players, you've got to replace them. You can't just lose them and use stuff with internally. City are good, but they're not that good. They're not good enough. They've not got a squad that's good enough to. I don't think the youngsters are good enough to be a fully starting Premier League title challenging team just yet. So, for that reason, I'm going to go with City to finish 6th. Just above them, I think it's got to be us. It's got to be Spurs, in it. Come on, we've been amazing the signings we've made. Easily a Europa League push, a Europa League finish easily for us. Such a good squad, such a good depth, a good manager. There's no reason why we can't have a good year this year, and I'm so excited for this season. We've got so much positivity this year, and hopefully at least one cheeky cup run. You know, a little bit of an FA Cup semi-finals, possibly a League Cup win. I wouldn't complain. At all. Now we get on to the big boys, the top 4, and 4th. I think it's got to be Man United. I think Carrick's a good manager. They've got a good squad. They've made the right signings. I think with Champions League football as well coming to them, I think Man United to finish 4th is a pretty good statement. They are looking to get themselves back, to shoot themselves back in, to make themselves a serious club once again. They're a huge club, and I would argue they are probably the biggest club this country has ever had. Obviously, they're not as big as they were 20 years ago when they were dominating the league, but I think we could see them winning the league in the next few years. I don't see any reason why that's not possible. I think United, the way they're building the club, the youngsters that they've brought in young players, I think it could easily be a very good season for them. And Man United to finish 4th, 3rd, the Premier League champions. I think there's obviously a lot of pressure. There's not as much pressure on them this year, and I think that will be their reason. I think they will take the foot off the gas this year. Obviously, they wanted to make some serious signings, but they've lost out on some big signings that they wanted to make. Vinicius being the big standout one there. I do think Arsenal will take the foot off the gas. I don't think they need to worry about winning the Premier League this year, because they already have. They've done it already. There's nothing really else for them to win. Maybe a Champions League win, but realistically, they know they're not. Sorry about that. My mic turned off. I do think Chelsea will win the Premier. I think he clearly shows that Chelsea will win the Premier League. I'm just going to film that once again just to check. Right, there is one team that stands above them both. It's between these two teams, Liverpool and Chelsea. But I do think there's one team that stands above them both, and that team, if I'm being honest, it's Chelsea. I like Liverpool a lot, but I do think that Chelsea will win the Premier League. Because I just think their squad just looks better. Xabi Alonso is an incredible manager who 100% knows how to win this Premier League. He's not even been in the league. He's never won a Premier League even as a player, but he's played in it before. He was a top player, and he's used that to his advantage in management. He's a top and very easily can win Chelsea the Premier League, and I think he will win Chelsea the Premier League this year. The squad he's built, the signing of Morgan Rogers, but as well as the signing of experience with Jordan Henderson and Danny Welbeck, Chelsea to win the Premier League, which means Liverpool to finish second. Not much to say about Liverpool. They've not had the greatest of pre-seasons. I do think Andoni Iraola is a great appointment for them. I think this could be a season of turnaround for them after last year. But there you have it. And there you have it. There are my Premier League predictions. Just a little run through. Forest, Brentford, and Palace to get relegated. I think Hull. I think all promoted teams will stay up. I do think Chelsea will win the Premier League. Big shocks here. I do think Leeds will finally get to push back for Europe. I think the top six will be the big six, and I think Coventry will have the best season of the promoted teams. And with that, I will see you lot in my next video. Goodbye.